Thank you very much.
Time
I'm sure
is now
she's
spent.
appreciative of your help.
Attorney General.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this important debate this afternoon. Madam Speaker, the bill before us today is the Base Erosion and Profit Shifting Inclusive Framework Country-by-Country Reporting Bill 2023, 22 clauses in length. The bill was debated in the other place on February the 20th, 2024, and passed with amendments. As the Honourable Minister of Finance, who has piloted today's bill, has already accomplished a commendable task of outlining the significance of the bill, its detail, and the need for the bill to be passed today in this House, I do not propose to go into the clause-by-clause evaluation. Indeed, as I said in the other place, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister of Finance has established a technical expertise from the Tax Treaty Unit, the Board of Inland Revenue, and the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Legal Affairs by a high-level committee to address Trinidad and Tobago's placement on the EU list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions. That was done in January 2022. As a matter of fact, as I stand here today, Madam Speaker, Trinidad and Tobago is currently participating in a 5-day on-site mock peer review by the Global Forum Secretariat at the Ministry of Finance Tax Treaty Unit. The point to be emphasized there is that compliance with the legislative framework which we are here for today is an ongoing, continuing engagement which we require the expertise and hard work of our public servants to work with the international community. Following the on-site mock peer review, which is currently ongoing, Madam Speaker, a report will be prepared by the Global Forum Secretariat. This will provide an assessment of our compliance with the Global Forum's exchange of information standards and recognize our achievements to date, and further gives us the opportunity to address shortcomings which we anticipated will be completed by May 2024. That high-level committee continues to work in tandem with the European Commission and the Global Forum Secretariat by intensive technical assistance towards a common goal of preparing the necessary legislative, administrative, and operational improvements to undergo the Phase 2 review in order to protect the integrity of the global financial system, inclusive of the EU financial system. Madam Speaker, this commitment is evident in the very reason we are here today. The emphasis on international compliance reflects a recognition of shared values, mutual respect, and a commitment to addressing global challenges collectively. The government's approach reinforces its commitment to foster transparency, fairness, and integrity in the global financial system, and supports economic growth and social equity. By aligning our tax rules with economic substance and preventing the artificial shifting of profits, Trinidad and Tobago can safeguard our tax bases and promote sustainable development. In today's global economy, Madam Speaker, multinational corporations operate across borders, leveraging various jurisdictions to minimize their tax liabilities. While tax planning is a legitimate business practice, concerns have emerged regarding the erosion of tax bases and the shifting of profits to low-tax jurisdictions, depriving governments of essential revenue. In response to these challenges, Trinidad and Tobago has recognized the need for concerted action to address the BEPS, Base Erosion Profit Sharing System. Madam Speaker, I wish to place emphasis on the fact that the Global Forum Bill was debated, and this is part of a package, was debated and passed in the other place on November 24, 2023. This bill sought to address Trinidad and Tobago's placement on the EU list of non-cooperative jurisdictions for tax purposes. By the Global Forum Bill, I refer to the miscellaneous provisions, Trustees Exchequer and Audit Act, the Minister of Finance Incorporation Act, Proceeds of Crime Income Tax Act, Companies, Partnerships, Securities, Tax Information Exchange Agreements, the non-profit organizations, and Mutual Administrative Assistance in Tax Matters Act 2023, a compendium of significant legislation, all requiring to be kept up to date and in compliance with our international financial obligations. Trinidad and Tobago's placement, Madam Speaker, on the EU's list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions for tax purposes, as this House will be aware, is as a result of three criteria, namely, 1, the non-compliant rating by the Global Forum under the Exchange of Information on Request, EOIR, the Automatic Exchange of Information, AEOI, and the Common Report Standards, CRS. Secondly, the Forum on Harmful Tax Practices, and thirdly, the Inclusive Framework on Base Erosion and Profit Shifting, that is to say, anti-BEPS measures, the very bill which is today before us and which is seeking to address that third criteria. I refer, Madam Speaker, for the record to Hansard of the 24th of November 2023, when the Honourable Minister of Finance delivered a statement on the European Union requirements and stated, among other things, that which I have today acknowledged, that is to say that the government, led by a team from the Ministry of Finance, the Tax Treaty Unit, the Board of Inland Revenue, the Office of the Attorney General, has established a high-level committee to deal with this problem. The placement by the European Union of Trinidad and Tobago on a list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions. The committee continues to work with the Global Forum Secretariat through intense technical assistance towards a common goal of preparing the necessary legislative, administrative, and operational improvements to undergo the peer review to protect the integrity of the global financial system and to comply with the EU's requirements. The very process which is currently underway in the mock peer review that is taking place as we speak in the Ministry of Finance. Madam Speaker, the first standard agreed and implemented provides for the international exchange of information on requests, by which a tax authority, for example, the Board of Inland Revenue, may request a particular piece of information to progress a tax investigation. The second provides for the international automatic exchange of information, where a predefined set of information on financial accounts held by non-residents is automatically exchanged each year. This exchange is underpinned by ensuring that the information is kept confidential and can properly be safeguarded, and particular requirements are placed on jurisdictions to ensure this. The Global Forum, Madam Speaker, I beg your pardon, monitors the worldwide implementation of these standards, conducts peer reviews to ensure the standards are implemented effectively. It also serves as a forum for its members to discuss these issues and delivers capacity building and technical assistance to members to support them in implementing the standards. And again, I stress the ongoing exercise that is taking place as I address this august House today. Madam Speaker, the third pillar, base erosion and profit shifting, BEPS pillar, provides for the introduction of a country-by-country reporting requirement in line with BEPS Action 13. A country-by-country report provides local tax authorities visibility to revenue, income, tax paid and accrued, employment, capital, retained earnings, tangible assets, and activities. It provides tax authorities information to assist them in assessing transfer pricing risks and makes determinations on how they allocate tax audit resources. The country-by-country reporting requirements will apply from the date to be fixed by presidential proclamation for multinational enterprises, MNEs. Multinational enterprises groups meeting an annual consolidated revenue threshold of at least the equivalent of US $850 million in Trinidad and Tobago dollars in the preceding year. The bill is not targeting SMEs, small or medium organizations, but rather those above the threshold revenue of less than the equivalent, as I have said. Some examples of multinational corporations, Madam Speaker, include Coca-Cola, Unilever, Pepsi, Starbucks, McDonald's, BMW, Suzuki, Samsung, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, McDonald's, Volkswagen. These companies are headquartered in one nation, but operate divisions in other countries in order to expand their business and reach more customers. This pillar is also inclusive of Action 14, the Mutual Agreement Procedure, MAP, which indicates that Trinidad and Tobago needs to amend and update a significant number of tax treaties, all underway through the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Attorney General. Trinidad and Tobago reported that it intends to update all its tax treaties by bilateral negotiations to be compliant with the requirements under Action 14 MAPS, but does not have in place a specific plan for such negotiations, is what was reported in the last report. That is underway at the moment and is being improved. The MAP is included in Article 25 of the OECD Model Tax Convention and indeed commits countries to endeavor to resolve disputes related to the interpretation and application of tax treaties. The peer review process is conducted in 2 stages. Stage 1 assesses countries against the terms of reference of the minimum standard according to an agreed schedule of review. Stage 2 focuses on monitoring the following up of any recommendations resulting from jurisdictions' Stage 1 peer review report. BEPS undermines, Madam Speaker, the very foundation of our tax systems, eroding the tax base of nations and shifting profits to low-tax jurisdictions. This not only deprives governments of essential revenue needed for public services and infrastructure, but also creates an unfair advantage for multinational corporations over smaller businesses that cannot engage in such aggressive tax planning. It is therefore imperative that we tackle base erosion and profit shifting through international cooperation and collective action. One proposed solution is the implementation of measures to ensure greater transparency and information exchange between tax authorities. By sharing information about the economic activities of multinational corporations, we can identify and address instances of profit shifting that much more effectively. On the 23rd of November 2017, Madam Speaker, the inclusive framework of BEPS welcomed Trinidad and Tobago, bringing to 108 the total number of countries and jurisdictions participating on an equal footing in the project at that date. And what are the results so far? The BEPS framework demonstrates that 58 jurisdictions are required or permitted the filing of country-by-country reports for 2016, and more than 110 jurisdictions have law in place introducing a country-by-country reporting obligation. In addition, as of October 2022, over 3,300 relationships are in place for the exchange of country-by-country reports between jurisdictions. This means that substantially every MNE with consolidated group revenue of at least euro 750 million is already required to file a country-by-country report, and the gaps that do remain are closing. Madam Speaker, the first exchanges of country-by-country reports took place in June 2018, and with the OECD's support, tax administrators are incorporating country-by-country reports into their tax risk assessment and assurance processes to better understand the risks posed to our jurisdictions. Very recently, Madam Speaker, we had the further publication, 20th of February 2024, which removed certain countries from the EU list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions for tax purposes: the Bahamas, Belize, Seychelles, Turks and Caicos Islands. Trinidad and Tobago remains on the EU list, along with 12 other jurisdictions: Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Fiji, Guam, Panama, Russia, Samoa, US Virgin Islands, Vanuatu. And in relation to Trinidad and Tobago, we are continuing to work on our next revision on the list, which is scheduled for October 2024. In light of the above, Madam Speaker, this bill presently before this House is a critical piece of proposed legislation so as to enable and position Trinidad and Tobago to comply with its obligations with respect to the European Union requirements. And it is particularly significant that we are engaging in the debate that we are about today, as the mock peer review of the Global Forum is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago as we speak. I can assure this House that the government is taking every step possible to attend to its remaining deficiencies by implementing comprehensive measures to address BEPS to combat tax avoidance with a fair and transparent global tax system. The government continues to take a cohesive, multi-pronged approach, including administrative and operational measures, as well as the introduction of a number of laws to ensure Trinidad and Tobago's removal from the EU list. Among those laws are: 1, the Base Erosion and Profit Shifting Inclusive Framework Country-by-Country Reporting Bill 2023, this very bill that we are debating today. 2, the Global Forum Act, which I have already spoken of, number 1 of 2024, which was debated in the Senate on 24th of November 2023 and passed in the House of Representatives on the 19th, this House, on the 19th of January 2024. The Company Registration Online System Bill, the long title being the Miscellaneous Provisions Registrar General, Companies, Registration of Business Names and Non-Profit Organizations Bill 2023, which was debated in the Senate on the 12th of December 2023 and is on the order paper today to be debated later today in this very House for its passage into law. This bill seeks to make amendments to several pieces of legislation to allow for an electronic system established by the Registrar General to be used. 4, the Special Economic Zone Act, number 1 of 2022, was assented to on January 31st, 2022. This act provides for the designation, development, operation, and management of special economic zones and the establishment of the Special Economic Zones Authority, so that we have a composite suite of legislation which self-evidently the government continues to work on as we develop the country's international commitments and tax compliance and financial obligations. Our approach, therefore, Madam Speaker, not only enhances and is continuing to enhance the country's standing in the international arena, but reinforces this government's role as a responsible and accountable global actor. Madam Speaker, in implementing this legislation, there are a number of significant benefits to Trinidad and Tobago, namely, just examples: enhanced tax transparency, helping to identify aggressive tax planning strategies and ensuring that companies pay their fair share of taxes in the jurisdictions in which they operate. Protection of the tax base, closing loopholes and addressing mismatches to ensure that governments can collect the revenue necessary to fund essential public services, infrastructure, and social programs, thereby promoting economic stability and development. This will also prevent tax avoidance strategies which exploit gaps to artificially shift profits to low or no tax locations. This legislation will aid in the injection of more revenue into the economy through the reduction of tax evasion. Introducing a level playing field, I beg your pardon, and thereby creating such a level playing field for businesses by reducing the advantages enjoyed by multinational corporations engaging in tax avoidance. Compliance with BEPS standards ensures that all businesses, regardless of size or geographic location, compete on fair terms, fostering healthy competition and innovation. Strengthen international cooperation. This encourages collaboration among countries to combat tax evasion and avoidance effectively. Through information exchange and mutual assistance, governments can detect and deter illicit financial flows, promoting global financial stability and integrity. Improved investor confidence. This enhances investor confidence by signaling a commitment to fair and transparent tax practices. This confidence attracts investment, stimulates economic growth, and contributes to the overall prosperity of countries implementing the BEPS measures. And sustained development, Madam Speaker, driven by a collective commitment to inclusivity. Trinidad and Tobago follows the whole of government and the whole of society approach to SDG implementation. The increased revenue generated can be directed to poverty reduction, education, healthcare, infrastructure projects, fostering inclusive growth and reducing inequalities. Madam Speaker, in short, this legislation is aimed at combating tax avoidance strategies used by multinational corporations to shift profits to low-tax jurisdictions and to erode the tax base of countries where they operate, so as to close loopholes, enhance transparency, and ensure that multinational corporations pay their fair share of taxes whilst simultaneously addressing deficiencies and creating a fairer, more transparent, and sustainable global tax environment. By addressing the challenges of base erosion and profit shifting, countries can promote economic prosperity, as I have said. Madam Speaker, the government continues to work and to improve Trinidad and Tobago's current non-compliant rating and to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago's removal from the European Union list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions. Implementing BEPS legislation is crucial to safeguarding the integrity of our global tax system and promoting fair taxation. Tackling BEPS requires a collective effort, a continuing commitment from governments, businesses, and international organizations. A steadfast commitment to implementing the BEPS measures is essential to promote tax certainty, enhance trust in the tax system, and create a more equitable environment for businesses to thrive. This has underscored the importance of international cooperation in addressing the challenges posed by BEPS and ensuring a level playing field for businesses worldwide. We must therefore, Madam Speaker, work together steadfastly and with great expedition with our parliamentary colleagues towards passing the necessary legislation. I thank you.
Member for Miaru.